at 5:39.
We play the golf tournament.
I mean, 5:34. I'm sorry. And if you all please stand for the pledge, there's a beautiful flag there. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll do a roll call. Carol Alexander.
Yes. Present.
Amber Avis. Dolores Boswell.
Here.
Sylvia Bruni. Here. Lizeth Cuella. Diana Espinosa.
Here.
Esther Quiroga.
Here.
Maribel Garcia.
Here.
Elia Guevara.
Here.
Alice Herrera.
Here.
Sylvia Palumbo.
Here.
Guadalupe Ramirez. Sandra Rocha Taylor, present. Diana Rodriguez.
Here.
And Sylvia Rosina. Or Rosina Silva, I'm sorry. Okay. Alrighty. We're open the floor to public comments, but there's no one here from the general public. And next item on the agenda is to review the July 8th minutes. If you can please take some time to review those, and then I'll entertain a motion when you're ready.
Did we get these minutes in email? And I ask because I've got multiple emails, so sometimes I don't know.
No, the minutes, no, they're right, the second page, the minutes are the second page. They're in order of the agenda, those are the minutes.
Second page?
Right there. Those are the minutes. Yeah, I try to put the papers in the order that the agenda is gonna cover.
What, was this the special meeting?
No, this was the regular
July.
July 8th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes
I second.
for July 8th.
So it's been moved by Sylvia Palumbo.
I move.
Sorry. It's okay. And second by Sylvia Bruni. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda.
Do you want to recognize that she's late?
Okay.
Does she recognize that she's late? Excuse me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's no lady, just
Oh,
that
that
she's here, that she's present. yes. And then you can send it here. Okay, our next item on the agenda is discussion with possible action to fill the vacancy of the commission secretary position as per the Laredo Commission for Women Bylaws, Article 4, Section 7, amended February 21st, 2011. So that allows the officers to nominate someone, and if everyone approves, then that's the person.
And I
that will
put, okay, in reference to that, this is why it is. There is a page that says current bylaws, okay? The agenda refers to Article 4, Section 7. You go to Article 4, Section 7 of the one that says current bylaws. It says, resignations from an elected officer position must be in writing and presented at a regular monthly meeting. Replacement of the officer. This was not really a resignation. It was a forfeiture due to absences, but it's gonna be addressed as a resignation, okay? And we discussed it with legal, okay? Appointments for vacancies will be for the unexpired term. You continue on to the next page. Well, at the top, it says that it will be elected by members of the commission and presides, where is it? say? Hold on.
The commission may establish such
Right.
officers.
It says replacement of the officer will be left to the discretion of the remaining officers, which are the officers,
Right,
with the confirmation of the commission.
right.
So the officers have nominated Amber Avis. And if everybody is in agreement with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Welcome, Amber. You'll be the secretary for this meeting and the next meeting when we have elections.
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
I make a comment, an observation. Is there a possibility that in the revised new version, that there be language that also includes, because this was for a resignation?
Right, and we're gonna get that to item 9, item 10, when we discuss the current bylaws. Can we hold that thought
Yes,
until
yes,
then?
of course.
Because if not, then
No,
we're
no,
gonna
that's
lose
fine. Right
track.
now, it's
Yeah,
simply a recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right, so, thank you, Amber, for inserting that.
yes, they are.
Discussion with possible action regarding upcoming commission officer elections in September. So the current ordinance allows me to create a nominating committee. So I would like to nominate to the nominating committee Alice Herrera, Maribel, and Lupita Garcia. I mean Lupita Ramirez. Maribel Garcia and Lupita Ramirez. Okay?
Ramirez here right now.
No, Vita's not here today.
Was it coming?
Ramirez Tire Service, she was a, so who are they? Who are the ones, oh, okay.
Alice, Maribel, and Lupita Ramirez. Maribel Garcia and Lupita Ramirez.
No.
No. She had another event. Okay, then moving on. Updates by event chair and discussion with possible action regarding the Laredo Commission for Women 2019 Action Plan, including but not limited to, and Women Voter Awareness Workshop at Open.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Because it says, you don't have, it's just for discussion, you don't have to take action for that?
We're not gonna accept.
I made the appointment. I
Oh,
appointed
okay.
them.
Oh, so there, it's good.
Yes.
For the which item are you?
Number 6.
Seven.
Oh,
That's what I said, I didn't know. because
I
it
have
said
a question in
Possible
reference to
action,
that,
that's why I said.
if I may. So the, regarding election of officers, discussion with possible action regarding upcoming commission officer election. You appointed the 3 committee members, but we will be taking nominations from the floor like we did last year?
Yes.
Okay.
That's always, we should always allow for that, yes.
And I think also that anybody who is in the committee will not be able to run for an office position. I think.
Correct.
So that people, I'm sure Alice knows because you've been here a long time, but I don't know, Maribel or Diana.
Yes, I
también.
spoke to them.
I'm sorry, what is that?
It says so right there, it says so right there, that's why they need the bylaws.
But prior to nominating them, these 3 people,
Want to plan.
prior to nominating them, I did speak directly to them. So they were aware of, I actually approached some other people and asked them if they were interested in running, then I wouldn't appoint them, and so some of them expressed that they would not want to be on the nominating committee. So they know, the 3 people are aware of that, but thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, just
Where does it say that about if you're on the committee?
On Article 4, at the very beginning, on page 2, Article 4, a nominating committee.
You cannot be nominated for an elected office if you're in a committee.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we going by the calendar year or the fiscal year?
We're going by our fiscal year, is what's been done in the past.
So our fiscal year starts October?
October 1. Yes.
October 1st.
And the new officers become,
But, correct me, when Mr. Valdez was here, he was saying the absenteeism was going to be based on
calendar year.
calendar
Absenteeism
year.
is calendar year.
Isn't that a little confusing?
That's the way the council has made it very clear. The absenteeism is calendar year because basically the council members appoint the commission members. And since elections are usually held in November, by the time they get sworn in, they appoint members, and the new members don't start coming in until January. So that's why it's a calendar year.
So it'll be January to January.
January to
For
December.
Just for the
Only for
attendance, only for
absences.
attendance.
But for the
But
term,
I do believe it's very important that we continue with the way it was in the past, and we elect our officers, because
Oh, yeah,
that was the
no.
problem last year, because we didn't elect anything
On time.
until November, December, and it pushed everything back. So we don't want to do that again.
okay,
Because our action plan is fiscal year.
yeah. I was just
Since
wondering.
it's
But
based-
thanks for
since it's
clarifying
ba-
then.
Since it's based on budget, and we go by budget,
So it's physically,
so it's fiscal year.
Okay, so I'm sure the committee will be contacting everyone here to see who's interested in running, so they can come up with their nominations. And you're welcome to reach out to the three individuals if you're interested in running. And they will bring the slate. And again, if you decide at the last minute, we will take nominations from the floor, so that will also be open. So moving on to updates by event chair, discussion with possible action regarding the Laredo Commission for Women 2019 action plan, including but not limited to Women Voter Awareness Workshop. I'll open the floor with Sylvia Palumbo. You can update us on what you've done.
Yes, can I report on that now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, first of all, ladies, let me apologize. I was under the impression that we had not been approved, and I already talked to Sandra and told her, and I apologize, because I thought we didn't, I didn't want to move forward until we got, now we have approval from city council. But we did, and I know I talked to Slema, medical in March of the 18th was when it was approved. And so I didn't prepare, but I did prepare something else. So, not for the big event that I wanted to have, like a women's forum that we wanted to bring in, and we're gonna have IBC, and we were gonna make a big deal out of this, but I don't have time right now. So, and I didn't prepare. But what I did prepare for is, I did talk to Salvador Tellez, the elections administrator, and he gave me some dates and that we could get deputized. I don't know how many of you have not been deputized and would like to get deputized, so that we can have a voter registration drive. That doesn't take any planning, it's just saying we need to go, let's say for instance, to the mall and get a kiosk, or go somewhere and sit somewhere, or approach people, or go to a big event and ask people if they're registered or not. So if you all, how many of you have not been deputized?
have not?
Have not?
I'm not deputized
Okay, I have, first of all, we need applications, which I have here with me, and I'm gonna pass them out, and you need to fill them out. Secondly, Salvador gave me the dates in September that he would be able to deputize us, and this hour would be at 5, and this would be in September, and it's gonna be either on a Monday or Friday. So it's gonna, and I have here the dates of September the 6th, September the 9th, September the 10th, the 13th, and the 16th. And that would be at 5 o'clock at the administrative office of Billy Hall, okay? And all we have to do is fill out the forms and give them back to me. Alice, can you
Yes,
just
of
want to
course.
pass the rest, please? And then, when you're through filling them out, I take them back to the elections office, and they're gonna prepare certificates. All we have to do is go, and they're gonna show us a little video. I think Sylvia has been deputized before.
Do we need to go through the whole thing again if we've already been deputized?
No, if you've already been deputized and you're still,
13 and 16.
it says, September 6th, 9th, 10th, 13th, and 16th. And it's either a Monday or a Friday
Okay, and we could go at any time at those days?
At 5 p.m.
But we wanted to see, we
If
could
we
all
could
go
as a group.
together as
As
a
a group.
group, because they're gonna have another group coming in that
Later on.
week from TAMIU, and Salvador said, I would rather have you all come.
Together.
Pick a date that you want and come all together, and we can do the,
So again, I'm sorry, I didn't look. Have any of us been deputized?
I have.
Okay, so several of us have already been deputized. For those of us who already have.
if you already have been
What do we need
deputized,
to do to maintain that certificate?
It's good, if I'm not mistaken, it used to be good for just 1 year. But I think now it's 2 years, okay?
Oh, it's
So if you have not expired, and then you can go ahead, you don't have to go because you already have your little card, right? Where they deputize you and you give it and you put it on when you're,
I just think it would be wonderful if we had every single one of us deputized. I think it would make for a wonderful, wonderful statement.
And maybe we could take like a group picture.
Yes,
and we could
that-
put
that
it
would
in
be
the
nice.
In the
We-
newspaper.
And I know our next
Commission
meeting is
something.
on September the 9th, which is a Monday, right? That's our next,
But isn't that our
Do it?
next meeting?
huh?
That's our next meeting here,
Right, pero yo diría que si
idea.
querían, we could meet there.
Why can't he come to us?
Because we have.
We have to watch a film.
And the
Well,
video.
Let me tell you, in San Antonio, the elections administration was going to public libraries, to school libraries to deputize.
I'm sure they
They could do
could,
it.
I'm
They
sure
could
they
do it.
could,
Make
Sylvia.
arrangements with him.
But if y'all want to, because if we're gonna have to come on the 9th anyway, because we have our next meeting,
Yeah.
I can ask you all to come earlier, maybe at 4:30. And it
Be
doesn't
here at
take
5.
that long,
No.
or at 5, because it doesn't take that long.
I think it'd be
But
wonderful if
whoever's
they
going
come
to
us.
want to be deputized needs to fill these forms out and give them to me by today. I give them to them by tomorrow. And I can ask him and tell him if he could, because we're having a meeting and we're all gonna be here, hopefully. And we can get deputized and they can do it here. While I know our meeting is at 5:30, I tell them to come a little before 5. And we can all be here early if we can. That way you don't have to make an extra
Do we
trip.
have to call the office, Sylvia, to verify when our deputized certificate is expired?
You don't have.
I don't know if I
I'm
have.
gonna
I-
check mine. I'm gonna go check mine.
If you
Yeah, I
have,
might
yes,
have it.
Diana.
Do we have, do we put today's date or the day that we're gonna get,
Well, where on the thing, I would put today's date when you filled it out. Yeah.
So do we just call them and they'll tell us if we are, if we have to renew our deputized?
Yes, you can all fill it out and then they're gonna look it up and if they know that you've already been deputized, entonces ya. I know it used to be for a year, but I think they changed it to 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. ¿No te acuerdas si te
I'm gonna
dijeron
go
2
look. I
years?
have
We don't
mine
have that
in
one
my
memorized?
notebook.
Just
So, another question, so if it expires within a year, do we need to fill that out again?
If it expires within a year, entonces it's gonna be over by December. So you would have to get deputized again.
Can I have one then? Maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, if I may, just so that we can, since we all wanted everyone to get deputized, I'm gonna go by name and you tell me if you're deputized or not deputized, if that's okay. Carol Alexander,
Expired.
expired, okay. Amber Avis,
Deputized.
okay. Dolores Boswell,
None.
okay. Sylvia Bruni, you're checking, right?
I'm gonna have to check.
Okay. Lizette Brand's not here. Diana Espinosa?
No, I'm looking at mine and, I have my number and my card, but it doesn't have a date, can you believe?
No, they
it's
said,
on December 31,
So,
2016.
but I think I renewed it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna put a question mark on yours, so you'll let us know. And then Esther Firova?
Expired.
Okay. And then Maribel Garcia? Okay. Elia Guevara?
No.
Okay. Alice Herrera?
Don't know.
Okay. Sylvia Palumbo?
I'm gonna check. Sandra, I think mine is still good, I don't know, but I have
Okay.
to check. If not, I'll just fill it out tomorrow morning when I drop this off.
Is in here, I'm not.
Today's good.
Diana Rodriguez?
Yeah, there, another 12.
And then Rosina Silva, I don't. Okay, great.
If we're deputized, like in our workspace, can we just register people?
Yes, the thing when you're deputized is that you can actually fill out their forms. When you're not deputized, you cannot fill the forms out and you cannot turn them in. If you are deputized, then you can get the cards and you can register and fill them out. And then they just sign it and then you can actually walk them in and send them to, and take them to the elections office. That's the difference. If you're not deputized, you can't do that. You can have your cards and give them to people and let them fill it out and let them send it, but a lot of people don't do that. So it's better for, when you're deputized, that you register them. And when you do that, be sure and ask them for their Texas driver's license or an ID, because the way that the name is on the ID or the driver's license is the name has to be the same on that card. Regardless of whether they say, oh, well, no ma'am, I just got married, I have no liaise. You can change it later. But right now it has to be the way, because if these cards, they go to Austin and they match with your driver's license. If they don't make a perfect match, then they're gonna throw them out. And they'll have to come back to the elections office. They contact you and tell you, you know.
Can I have mine then, because mine has a different, the one that I just submitted. Because I had to match mine with my maiden name for my passport.
Yes.
So.
Wait,
ya
Our application also,
ya me lo dices.
te lo di, so
Okay.
let me rip that one up.
does our application have to match
The
to
driver's license.
our application?
Driver's license.
No, the application, excuse me, the application is the way you want your name right now on your application.
Doesn't have to match.
No, when you register to vote, this is what I'm referring to. When you register someone,
Okay.
that is what I'm referring to. This is
Okay.
just the application to be deputized. When you're registering a person, they'll just say, may I have your Texas driver's license or ID? And then the name, the way it shows on their driver's license, is exactly the way you're gonna put it on their card. The rest is, if they have a different address on their driver's license, but now they have a different one, you put the correct one, because they're gonna have to get it at their correct address. But if there's 9 questions, so you have to actually, some are optional, but I would definitely try to fill them all out. Everything, because like the one that's optional is like female or male, that's optional, but I usually fill it out. Phone numbers are optional too, but it's good to have them, because sometimes they don't understand the writings or whatever, and they need to verify it, y ellos pueden hablarles y les dicen, or we can call them back and say, you know, that we don't understand what this is, can you clarify for me? So that's the reason, and we always do that everywhere we go, we do explain it to them. It is optional, but it would be good to have it. And make sure that everything is filled out, because, but that's the only thing the elections tells me, please, the name has to be exactly like they have it on the Texas driver's license. So that's the only thing, and I'll go over with the cards with you and everything before we do the voter registration. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it, and then we can get together and find out where we're gonna go and do the voter registration drives. If there's a big event that you know of, that there's gonna be a lot of people, maybe at the arena, we will ask for permission to be there, and we can have the sign of permission for women, and then we can be, you know, asking people if they're registered or not. Some of them will say, well, I don't know. Just register them, and then when they get it, they're gonna look it up. Oh, yes, he's registered, let's take him out. But register them, because this election, the process is very simple, but a lot of them don't fill them out correctly. So it takes a lot of time to, you know, they reject them, then they go back to the elections office. The elections office calls the voter, they send them another one, and then they don't return them back. So, you know, I have had a lot of experience about that, but I just, you know, think that if we can find out where and when you would like to go and do voter registration, where we could do it. We have done it at different places. I have done it with Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, and also with the Yes I Will Vote campaign, that we go to different places such as the mall, or if we have some banks that would let us be by, or Chick-fil-A will let me sit there. I mean, there's a lot of places that we can go to, but the idea is to see where there's a lot of people. The HEB used to let me do it, but they stopped doing it.
I have a question. Would we be allowed to wear our Commission for Women blouse?
Well, that's a good question, because remember that we were supposed to be only Hall of Fame.
This is an approved event, and
So we
approved
can.
by city council, so yes. we can.
So if we just schedule it for the 9th when we have our meeting, everyone who has their shirts to bring them or polo shirts.
Oh, yeah, that would be great, to bring them on that
And you're
day,
gonna
put
let
them
us
on
know
and
which-
take a picture, and maybe we can have the press or somebody come over.
And is that gonna be at across the street, or is it gonna be here?
Well, I'm gonna talk to Mr. Salvador Tellez to find out if he can come bit better here, porque vamos a tener una junta a las 5:30. And so he wants to register us, we wanna pick, the 9th, so that it would be easier for all of us, we have to come here anyway, ¿verdad? I will tell him tomorrow.
Yeah, let us know.
And please let us know, Sulema can send us all.
And if that's gonna be the case, we need to put it
Because
on.
we do need to post. 'cause
Okay,
we're-
I'll call you, Sulema, let you know, a ver qué me dice, y el date y todo, pero, this, I will turn them in, and they will have their certificates ready for you on that day, when we see that little, video,
think-
whatever.
Also, if we could send an email to those that didn't come to the meeting today, because I'm sure
That's
they might want
correct,
to.
that's correct, yes.
Well, once we have the information, I will send it to everybody, and I can download
An application.
O si vienen ese día, that day, if they come a little bit earlier, and we'll have this, they can fill them out right then and there, here.
So yeah, I have a suggestion for your committee.
Certificate.
I have a suggestion for your committee, since you're chair, is to maybe come up with some suggestion, but you bring it to us for our next meeting, at least maybe 3 or 4 places where we could go to do a voter registration. So you can reach out to whoever's on your committee, and you
All
can
of us,
come
by the
back.
way, are in the committee.
Okay.
The last time we all got together, I didn't make a committee, because in the interest of time, we wanted to get
So
it
then
done.
reach out to the members and see what 4 locations you can bring us with dates and times, and that way we can,
I would like
Get
to
moving.
let them know that if they can come up and give me, after we
Maybe
get out
an email.
today, if you can give me a suggestion of where you want to go, what day you want to do it, anytime after the 9th, then we can do it, okay? So if any people start thinking as to what, if there's any event, what I like to do, if there's any big event where there's gonna be a large crowd, I think that would be awesome if we could go in, let's say the arena, for example. Because we've been there before, and they have let us, and that way we can put our little logo and everything, we can go with a little shirt, and we can stay there and talk to the people. So, because other than that, it would be people do go to the grocery store a lot, but they're not allowing us to go there, so let's see what you can come up, find out what events are coming up soon, and so that we can go and.
okay, so for the next meeting, you'll have 4 locations.
Yes, I will.
dates, and
I will
times.
have
Thank you
some
very much.
And just a point of clarification, and I need to double check, and I'll get back with y'all tomorrow, is that on the March 18th city council member, it was presented to the council as a women's voter awareness workshop. And it seems like we're getting a little bit away from it. It's more about voter registration
Yes.
than a workshop. So I'm not sure how that is going to translate. So I need to double check with legal. How do you go from a women's voter awareness workshop to a voter registration?
And I think, Sulema, what happened there is when I mentioned it, I didn't mention, I believe, a workshop, I probably went voter
No,
registration.
and that's fine.
No,
I'll
just
double
to
check.
clarify that too, because I was thinking more of a voter registration drive, but then we did talk about having something like a forum, but then it went bigger, and it just got to, I didn't have enough time to put it together.
But I do believe that the gist of the voter registration workshop was mainly to get people registered to vote. And the workshop was just to explain the importance of it.
Let's just be proactive. Let me just go ahead and let's get ahead of it, and I will have something for you before the end of the day tomorrow.
And now I'm curious, what does that mean? That you're going to have to ask them for permission to do this?
No. I am just going to make sure, for clarification through legal, that there is no misinterpretation, that the verbiage is going to be taken literally. Will a voter registration drive be considered part of a voter awareness workshop?
Okay, and a question then, because when did this plan get proposed?
In March.
March.
Okay, so there was a planning activity of the commission?
No.
We planned prior to this, and Sylvia was offered to be chair of the committee. If we presented it to council in March, then
The
in
action plan,
December
Sylvia,
or
that we always have.
January.
Okay, no, but my question is, was there an actual planning activity by this commission that produced a plan? That's my
Yes.
question. There
No,
was.
that's during the meetings.
Well, whether it was during a meeting or whether it was a special.
It was.
There was an
December and
action.
January.
Okay,
Because
there
we
was.
presented
I
an
wasn't
action
here. I'm
plan.
just-
I
No,
mean,
that's
we all
fine.
wanted, they said,
Picking
tell
up.
us, go ahead.
Sylvia, what stops you or stop us for making, organize a panel?
A what?
A panel, the panel.
It would
The
take.
lack of time or?
Lack of, well, yes and no. We have to find out, first of all, we need a place. And I had thought of talking to the people in, at the, go ahead.
There's a possibility, and I remember this, we're looking at a workshop for either February or November. November, as in November, is that November 19 or November 20? November 19.
Okay, and Ms. Brady, let me clarify something. It's a little bit convoluted because we're on item number 8, and those activities are for the
2020.
year 2018, 2019.
Yes.
Which, again, they should have already
Yes.
happened. Now,
Yes.
when we're talking about a planning or an action plan, it's a skeleton, just like it's on item 9, okay? We would say that there was planning there, but basically it's a very, very broad skeleton. You have ideas and you have tentative dates, but you haven't gone into specifics of what it looks like. Yes, you've spoken in generalities. So when you're looking at item 8, this is between now, probably in
September.
I think that's a very
September.
good, yeah, that's a very good effort though, because we could get all excited and plan all this, and they're gonna tell us no. So it doesn't hurt, let's just. It doesn't
Well, let me just remind you, okay? We're discussing right now, well, it's already been approved by council. So let's finish with that, and then we'll go to our new action
Right.
plan. And that action plan, we had talked about doing a retreat where we would all sit down and spend more time, because we do have to come up with budget for that one. So we do have to go
For the
into more
next one,
detail.
right?
So that, we're
For the
gonna
next
wait,
year.
we're gonna wait till we get to item 9
Correct.
to discuss that one. But for
Correct.
now, this voter awareness workshop should have taken place within this year.
Correct.
Which would have been
Yes,
September.
that- yes.
Yeah, technically, you can
Yes.
put that, the September 9th could be a workshop because we're gonna watch a video. We're gonna get deputized.
And I'm
That is considered a
explaining to
workshop.
you the
That you're
process.
explaining to us. Now, for the next one,
Yeah.
for item 10,
Then
for
you
the
get
next,
in-
for
then-
February and March, November, that's when we can ask, can we do outreach?
Well, and how you can interpret that into a workshop, here again, if you're gonna have a deputizing ceremony, maybe you can make it into a workshop by inviting other women that are not part of the commission just to come and become deputized so they can contribute to the voting process. And that in itself, it's not just the commission members, but if each one of you brings a friend or stretch it out and invite other women to get involved and become deputized, that in itself can become a workshop.
Can I pick up on that? Because one of the things that we had begun to talk about, looking ahead to that forum that's going to happen next year. One of the things that we had been talking, one of the possibilities had been that the commission would be the official host, but that we reach out to other potential, very visible partners, as in IBOC, who's been very, very involved in women's forum issues. The outlet shops, which has already indicated that they're interested. LULAC, very powerful entities that right now are very involved in voter advocacy. But that the commission would be the main driver. And so something like what Sulema is suggesting is a good idea, that possibly, if you all think it's a good idea, that we reach out to some of these potential partners.
But this will be for 2020.
Well, yeah, but this would be for that workshop that
Yeah,
you
September.
What she's suggesting is make it a real workshop and have each one of us invite a potential
Correct.
friend.
But that's for next year.
No,
No, the meeting.
That's for this
September's
workshop.
meeting.
In other words, what she's saying, legitimize
To make
this
the
voter awareness workshop that you're planning possibly for September 9, when we're gonna try to get Thais here, that in addition to us, that each one of us bring a potential, we can bring a friend, But if you
An
have,
organization.
if you have an organization that you think would be a strong partner with us, bring that representative from the bank, from the, maybe even a media person.
But
To
we're
be-
gonna bring them here on the 9th?
What she
To
suggested.
make it a workshop.
I have a
Let me
suggestion, I
tell you,
have a
it's gonna be a
suggestion,
little
if I
bit-
may. Okay, the 9th is our regular scheduled meeting. I think that's a great idea. If we're gonna do that, we're gonna have to plan it after our meeting, not before, because at our meeting, we need to have our elections. I'd really prefer not to delay that, so we can have our elections, and then we can discuss whatever business we have, and then we can do this workshop, and maybe
give
it'll
people
work
time.
again
Can I
better.
suggest something,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
maybe I'm confused, I'm sorry if I'm taking so much time. But if this calendar year, 18-19, that ends in September, the new officers take place October 1. At that time, we're gonna have another action plan, right?
Correct.
And we can have what you're doing, but we can organize it better. What you're saying, to invite the other entities, the people
So
that.
I'm
that
just following up on something that Sulema mentioned.
Well, it first has to be también approved que it's a workshop or not, right? I mean, it's just a clarification on the word, because other than that, I mean, it is a little workshop, because we are talking about how to register.
And remember, I don't vote, that was just a
Yo
suggestion.
les digo que acabemos
Yeah,
con
I just
esto
thought it was
en
a good
este
idea.
año y comencemos el otro with the other action that we're talking, that's
No,
what
it
we're
is a good
talking about.
idea, and we can't invite anybody else. I just don't want to drag it on, and if people need to leave, like, I know Diana has to leave, she has another meeting, or things like that, we can do our elections and get our business out of the way, and then we can focus on any other members, and we can all get deputized. So if that's, so just.
That's an option, I guess that's an option to do, have our meeting and have this workshop with ourselves and other invitees.
I would just
after.
I would like to keep it, me personally, I think we need to keep it just for us, period. We're gonna take pictures, it's gonna be the Women Commission for Women. And I think we can do it, but I would suggest for the next time, I mean, for the
New Year.
coming year of
The new year.
October 1, the new officers can, do a plan like that for next 2020, because that's gonna be the very interesting races, Right now, we have in November, propositions, or whatever, 3 or 4 of them, or whatever they are. People are not gonna be like excited as doing it for next year.
Okay, so let us know.
So anyway,
Let us know.
that's what I propose, I would like to get involved next year too, in doing what we originally decided to do, that I moved, and that's why my time ran out.
And
But that was
what
what I
I would
wanted to
suggest,
do.
if that's gonna be the case, to get Mr. Reyes to come here, make sure that Sulema has the public relations person in charge to do
The video.
the video, of course, the video, but the media, and have media come over and.
Okay.
So
So
you
I will
coordinate that?
talk to Mr. Reyes to see if we can for them to come here then.
Okay, so
And what
just,
time would you like for me to tell them to be here?
I would
because
say
I
at
know-
5.
At 5?
Yeah, so we can get.
Because the
Because we have a
video
meeting.
doesn't take
The
that
video
long.
is very short.
Very short.
And so.
Le
so
digo
you'll
que
do
venga
that?
para acá.
Mhm.
Okay.
So have
And
the media come
then
in.
you will handle the media, any pictures we're gonna take, you let the media know so they can come take pictures.
The local media, you say?
Yes.
Well, that has to
Not
go,
all the one.
through the, it has to go through the city, right?
Ah, okay. ¿Quién es?
I will double check them.
Yeah.
Rafael Benavides.
Ah, bueno.
And then, also let us know on the 4 locations.
Yes.
For the voter registration.
Right.
Okay, so let's move on to our next, which is a business etiquette workshop, which is with Liz, but unfortunately she's not here. And then the Women's Bill Day for Habitat for
I
Humanity.
have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
question, because I had offered, when we were discussing it last month, I had offered to look into a venue.
Okay, great.
But now I'm a little confused, because I've already spoken to the outlet shops, and they've got a wonderful, wonderful offer. But now I'm confused. Is it supposed to be for September of this year, or is it supposed to for next year? Because it's
Well,
on both.
This is probably gonna spill over into next year, but I don't wanna delay it, so if we're moving forward, let's keep moving forward.
Well, and the thing is that I'm not moving forward. It's not, I only offered to get a venue. But
Okay,
I was under the impression that it was for next year.
Right,
I had
right,
called
yeah.
Sulema and I had. and
well, it
then-
was one of the things that was also approved,
So I need to find out, will we know a little more? If something is gonna happen in September, I mean,
It's not, it's not
No.
gonna
Not
happen
happening
in
in
September, because there's not enough
Nothing.
time to do this. So if you'd like to share with us the
Well,
information.
they've got some wonderful, I mean, they're wonderful friends and partners, and I mean not personal, but they're wonderful friends of the community. They have two venues that we could use. One of them is a venue that would accommodate about 200 people. And I was thinking of that one possibly if we move on next year
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that forum that
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah.
about. There's a good possibility that they're offering to help us with that one too.
Okay.
But right now, I went primarily to talk to them about the business etiquette piece. They have the 200-plus seating area, and then they have a community room that was designed specifically for community events also. And they would provide all the AV equipment, they would provide the setup, the screens of equipment, they would provide the person or people to help move it, so we're not having to do any of that. They would provide if this is something that we would like to include. I've seen this happen before with the shops. It was originally with Brooks Brothers, where they presented for a group of women, for a group of young women. They brought in, they had mannequins, and they had 5 different, you've seen that where you can make out of one set of clothing, you can make different, change it, and they had 5 different looks. They were business looks for young women, but really, really neat. And when I had talked to, esta niña was talking to Erica Contreras, she offered not just Brooks, she offered, there's 5 different groups that are there. 5 different, let's see. She offered, where are they? Brooks Brothers, Perry Ellis, The Loft, New York and Company. That they would help coordinate a style show that is particularly designed for the young woman or the woman wanting to enter the business world. Goodie bags, giveaways, water. I asked if there was anything in the till that they might also be able to contribute refreshment. She said she'd look into it.
Okay,
That's super.
Yes, they're really, really lovely.
And just a point of clarification, if you look at the agenda, Lisette was very, very, very detailed. It says, and she took the notes. This is the position, the program that she's chairing, and she specifically said January, okay? So I don't think she was looking at anything for December, for September,
Yeah.
okay? She is very, and she took the notes, and she was the one that is a cherry person, and she very distinctly said January.
Yes, but we're gathering information. I don't want it to
Now,
stop at
already
May.
you notice
September.
though that this doesn't include a style show, but it is, since I had already seen something like that done, and it was really, really neat.
I think you did mention it, a scout show the
Did I?
last time when
Well,
you
yeah,
were
Because
talking.
it's not here,
Yeah.
so, but I mean, again, it's just something that is available. They would
Well,
take
we
it.
When you called me, that's why I said January.
Yeah.
We
because
won't
I was
take
thinking-
action on this because you're gonna discuss that with the chair and then you can report to us.
And just know then also that there is an interest by the shops in possibly hosting the forum, which would be something else, the registration, whatever we call it.
Okay, thank you so
Perfect.
much.
All right, that's
Okay.
awesome. Thank you, Susan.
So, moving on to Women's Bill Day for Habitat for Humanity.
We still up at the same goal because, like I say, Lowe's is not a sponsorship anymore. And they're trying to see, I think, go with Home Depot. And we don't have the date yet.
Okay, I did hear them discuss, or I saw something publicized about they were getting a large donation.
Well, that was the CPF, CPNO. It's a sponsorship that they had from, for one of the new homes.
Okay, for one specific.
Yeah, that was with Marco Chor, our president.
Yes, okay, great. Alrighty, well, we'll still be pending on that. Then moving on to updates and discussion with possible action regarding the Laredo Commission for Women 2020 Action Plan, including but not limited to. Now, before we go on to this, I would like to see about planning a workshop, but I do think it's important that we have the new officers in place because they will be the ones taking the lead on this. Even though we do have some committee chairs that are working on some of these things already. So, is everyone okay with pending the date until next meeting? Because that's when our new officers will be elected, and then we can all agree then on the date. Because we will have to move on it very quickly in September to be able to come up with a budget. In the meanwhile, if you look at any of these items and there's something that you want to contribute to any of them and have ideas like Sylvia mentioned with the fashion show, and obviously what she's come up with is not going to cost anything, but it can be included.
Well, it might.
It might?
Well, it might, depending on what, again, depending on what that program includes. Does it include refreshment? Is it a morning? Is it an afternoon? Is it a merienda? Is it a breakfast? Depending on what, I don't know what her plan or her idea. I know her general idea, but if there's refreshments, that's the only thing I can think of. Unless she's got, I imagine that whoever she would bring on would come in free of charge. But if there are refreshments, then there probably should be something, Sandra.
A cost.
Some kind of a, you need to offer them something.
The baggies, Sylvia, if I may, Madam Chair, the baggies, will they be provided by the outlet?
Everything. They'll give you, they're gonna bring us goodie bags and giveaways, and they offered water. But if it's a morning, is it coffee and there's a Cinnabon, there's 5 different restaurants there that we could get catered by. But again, it just depends on what she's planning. I'm not sure, or what the committee is planning.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, being that this is for our next year budget, is the city just giving us a flat amount? Or do we need to propose this because don't they go for their budget already in this month? Because they finalize in September. So I recommend, or I'm making a suggestion that committee chairs look into what possible funding they would need for their event and to email it to us or something, because I believe unless we're getting a flat amount for the year.
They awarded us a flat amount for the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
But not for anything additional.
I think we need to budget, I think the chairs need to think, like in this event, there might be that we need some food, or let's estimate a little bit of money, and kind of propose to council our plan, or these events, it has been discussed already, and this is what everybody agreed on, but we need funding, because I believe they start either this month and finalize by September, and I think by the time our meeting in September, I think it'll be too late to submit funding.
So do you think that we will be not able to ask for donations? Is that kind of like?
No, we cannot ask for donations.
They changed that law, remember, for us, so we can no longer do.
Yes, Sylvia.
Sandra, just to clarify something, I'm looking at the updated discussion on this 2020 action plan. I'm sorry to ask again, but did we already meet to the action plan for 2020? And
We brought up these ideas here within our meetings.
Well, I knew we had done it for the 2018, 2019.
But we've also done it for the 2020. We came up with ideas, but it's not final. It was just preliminary because everybody wanted to do the retreat so that they could go more into detail into the items.
But
Are we on?
but how could we have met before this?
Yes, we're on item 9.
Where are we?
Item 9.
We've met here. We've discussed it here during our meetings.
Okay, I'm sorry to be, I don't understand it, because every year we had it that for that particular term, the 1819, 1920, or whatever, 2019, 2020. But we're already working on the one for 2020, and has anybody else submitted anything, any of the new people?
We've asked, We brought it up already, I think this is probably the third
But
meeting
I know we
where
have
we've asked.
a lot of new people too that
This
have
is
did not.
probably the third meeting where we've asked people if they have any ideas or suggestions to bring it, for the same reason that we have a budget deadline that's gonna go through city council. So if we can come up with the amounts that we're gonna need prior to them submitting the budget, great. City council did tell us in the past, this past year, that if we had an event, and that was not included in our budget, that we could always go up to them at council and request any additional funding. Yes, Ms.
Madam Chair, just a point of clarification. This was again, go back to the minutes. Last month, item 6 on the agenda said, discussion with possible action regarding the Laredo Commission for Women 2020 Action Plan, including but not limited to brainstorming, okay? And to the best of my recollection, this was the first time that it was formally brought up. And it was that was at the July 8th meeting.
Last meeting.
Well, some of these items were brought up at that meeting, and that's why they were included
Right.
on here. So somebody brought up the breast cancer awareness
Right.
event, and so that's why we put them in here. And we did ask anyone else that had any ideas to bring forward.
Sandra,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm new,
Yes,
and it seemed like one of the early meetings that I was at, that the reason for our existence was the Hall of Fame.
correct.
And so now it's the Hall of Fame and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 events.
So what had happened previously was that there were other projects that the commission had done for 25 years. About a year ago, there was a discussion, thank you, that they said we needed to focus on the Hall of Fame, and they said, that's all you're gonna do. This year, they told us again, no, that's not all you can do, you can also do additional projects. So we went back to doing additional projects, especially because now they're saying that we're gonna do the Hall of Fame every other year. So then we would have a year where we wouldn't really be doing anything. Yes, ma'am.
Well, and I'm gonna come back again to what I've said more than once, and that is that what we should be doing is what the bylaws direct us to do.
Correct.
And if you look, and that's why I was a little, more than a little confused when I first came on board, knowing the history of the commission to begin with. And then having read, the first thing I read when I was invited to become a part of it, I asked for the bylaws, because that's what we're supposed, that is what governs us. And if you look at the bylaws, the Hall of Fame is just one, and it's not really the most significant. Our real mission, I keep going back to it, is to promote equality in legal, social, political, economic, and educational opportunity and advancement for all women throughout the city. And then it gives us 6 different avenues.
And one of them.
And only one of them is the Hall of Fame. So I
Yes.
was very confused at the beginning when I heard that we were being told that the only thing we could do was Hall of Fame. I said, what about the other 5? So I'm just glad that I think we're beginning to hear a more reasonable,
Open-minded.
whatever we want to call it.
That we
A
went
more
back to our
reasonable,
original-
yes, that we go back to
to the
our
original
original mandate.
bylaws.
This is our
Yes.
mandate, ladies.
And I'm sorry, but I did, Ms. Ortiz, again, please put this at the top of our agenda,
Okay, yeah.
which is the purpose of the commission, and that
Yes.
we should read
Yes.
every time we come in
Every
here.
time we come in here.
And please, if you have time, look over Article 2, and it specifically states those 6 mandates that Ms. Rooney mentioned.
It looks like we have a lot going on, whatever all this is.
Yes.
Well, and
Well,
that's your point of clarification. That's just kind of where we're at, and then the last one.
And a point of clarification again on the Hall of Fame. When it was made open, or the motion was made by City Councilwoman Cecilia Moreno, the purpose was for the Hall of Fame, period. And that was the way it was written, that was the way it came out, and that was why we were doing only the Hall of Fame. Because we had a lot of little things that we were working on during the year that were things that we kept doing over and over and over again, like the Rainbow Room, like the turkey giveaway, a lot of things that we go to the old folks' home,
Well, some of them didn't apply to this, and that's why we're.
I'm just telling you because that's what the confusion is
Yes.
coming in.
Right.
And just to let you know that I also want to state that we were told Hall of Fame only. We were doing a lot of things that were not correct, okay, fine. But then they said, nothing else, Hall of Fame, and I remember everything has to go through legal and to city council, legal and city council. And somewhere along the line, they said, okay, give us your wish list. What is it that you would like to do? This is just a wish list, you know? And it was nothing, well, I thought it was just a wish list, like, you know, what is it that you would like to do through the year? All of you, all of us have to bring in our ideas. What do you would like to do other than the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, but
Yes.
basically, this is only, like propositions.
Correct. Yes,
So
ma'am.
for the events, if they're available, can we chair them and request funds now? Or do we send them in an email?
Send them in an email so that we can start gathering that information and present it at the September meeting. Thank you.
Sandra, if I
Yes, ma'am.
wanted to move just in the interest of time, because this looks like a lot of
Yes, I
conversation,
agree.
if we could table that, whatever's in number 9.
Well, we're really not gonna go individually to discuss them because we'll be discussing them at the next meeting
the
after
next
our
meeting.
elections, when we have our new
Okay,
officer.
so if we could skip over whatever that is.
Yes.
We can do this later.
And so now we're back to item number 10, if that's okay with everybody. Updates and discussion with possible action
Okay,
regarding.
and can I give a point of clarification?
Yes,
Because I
ma'am.
can already see there's a lot of overwhelming with a lot of this, okay? Only go to the draft to be presented, go to the
Oh.
last packet that you have.
Ms. Ortiz, if I may, let me just finish reading.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Updates and discussion with possible action regarding the LCW ordinance and bylaws to be presented to City Council on August 19th, 2019, which is our next City Council meeting. These bylaws will be presented for approval. So they're running them by us one last time before it goes to council. It's already on their
So it's
agenda.
the last packet, the one that says draft to be presented to council, okay? Now, everything else is there as a point of reference. Because you say, well, what did it say then? Then I can know which one to tell you to pull out, okay? So this is the one that you need to be looking at.
The one that says draft to be presented to council on August 19th, 19.
Correct.
That's the main one we're gonna look at right now. And we'll go back if we have questions on the other.
Okay, can we have a discussion on it?
Yes, ma'am. Go
Okay,
ahead.
then I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know which one you want us to refer back to.
No, start with the draft. Start with the
Okay,
draft.
well, this draft completely excludes,
Okay, where you looking at
I'm looking at,
commission officers, Article
I'm
5.
looking at Commission Officers, Article 5, which in the original approved February 21st, 2011, was Article 4. The original,
Which says current bylaw. She's referring to the current bylaws.
okay, the current
She said the
bylaw,
last
okay.
page.
Okay, so we compare current bylaws and draft, right? That's what we're looking
Yes.
at. Okay.
If you look at the current bylaws,
Article
Article 4,
4,
there was very specific language regarding a nominating committee.
okay.
I don't recall in the several discussions that we had with the young attorney, I don't recall there having been any reference to that piece being excluded.
Okay.
Okay, wait.
No, great.
And so, because in the red line areas, in the other red lines that we got several of, there was nothing, it wasn't, they didn't draw a red line through it, it stayed intact. But now, in the draft to be presented to council, it's completely gone.
Yeah.
Which means that according to this, the way I'm reading it, there is no longer going to be a nominating committee, and I don't understand why.
Okay, first of all, first of all, when the young attorney came and presented the proposed bylaws for you to consider, there was never Article 4, okay? No, Article 4 as it is right now.
Suleiman,
But we're talking
I have
about
a
five,
copy here.
Of the current.
Well, now I have another one that he
Oh, no,
presented.
she's discussing the majority of members. Is that what you're saying?
No, Ms. Bruni is looking at one that was proposed a long time
She's
ago.
looking at
that-
the current bylaws.
But she's looking at her binder.
This is the one that we have been referring to last year, the year before, and the year before.
Okay, this is this.
Okay, this is the one that we have been referring to. This is where we came up with a committee for election, which we've been implemented every year.
I know.
So she's talking about this.
I
When
know
did
that
they-
one. Okay.
Okay, when did, the question is, when did they omit that? Because we've been going by that year after year after year after year, even last year. So when was that omitted and why was that omitted without discussion?
When Christian came,
No, he didn't discuss that.
when Christian came to the meeting on June the 10th, okay, Article 4, he did not take this one. He brought this one. I
Yeah.
just texted him to see if
Which
he's
is
in the
not the
office.
correct one. It is not correct. And the question is, when was that deleted? When did that change occur with us without our reviewing it and agreeing to remove that or not?
Can we just move
You
to put
switched,
that
it was
back in?
switched on us.
I don't know. I don't know
without
what the
correcting
reasoning
the
is.
file.
This is the one.
I'm not sure.
No, I
the
know
reasoning
this is the
because I didn't
one,
have it in
but
the
he
minutes.
never started with this one.
This
Well,
He never
we need
started
to
with this
correct
one.
that. We don't have the correct bylaw.
He started with this.
Well, we cannot.
This is what we started with.
I think we-
And this is what she's
And this,
referred to.
This is what he brought to you
I
all.
think we have too many people talking.
Yeah,
Okay. Christian Gillette came on June the 24th, or June, yes, on June the 24th, to present some proposed bylaws, okay? He started from scratch, okay? He did not take your current bylaws and edit those. If you look at the current bylaws and you look at the bylaws that says red line bylaws from April the 8th meeting, there's very, very few things in common. As a matter of fact, that's the one where you all noticed that he didn't have a secretary position, remember?
Yes.
And so you added it? Okay, so that's what I was trying to make you understand, is that he never took this and edited this.
Well, he did because, he did refer to this because originally on our current bylaws, the secretary was referred to as the recorder. And he took that and put it into his new one. And we corrected it and said, no, we don't want recorder, we want secretary. So at some point, he did refer to this, but he did drop that whole nominating committee portion.
And what I'm saying is, he was using it as a reference, but he didn't start here and added it. That's what I'm trying to say.
And so the question is, why would he not have used the officially approved bylaws of the commission as the base, Suleiman?
That's something that he has to answer, and I had already kind of started texting him, and so,
It would seem to me that, I would imagine, and I assume that all of us would want to include a nominating committee?
yeah.
I mean, it's logical.
4 is very,
I mean,
very specific and,
I mean, until we get clarification.
well, why would?
Well, it's because I think what he did is that because it's right there at the very top on commission, 5.01, it does say there vacancies for office positions shall be filled by an election from the commission members by the commission.
Yeah, but it doesn't
Which
say.
always,
And then it says the election of officers shall occur by the commission membership by majority vote. So basically, it's eliminating us,
The
little
nominating
committee.
committee.
It's eliminating the nominating committee, which, that's fine. I mean, we're here, we're still gonna have to bring it to the commission for her to say we want to vote.
No, but I think that we should have had a voice on that, and we should have discussed it, and not switch it just and discard without notification and discussion.
I think that that needs to be rectified, and then if we agree, then we agree, but at this point, this is not correct.
Also, if I remember correctly, I think we asked him exactly what we're talking about, and I think he used the verbiage bylaws and ordinance. And he said something about they needed to put something as an ordinance, to make it as an ordinance, and he said, but you could still reference your bylaws.
Well,
Is that what he said?
no, I'm sorry, no, I understand where the confusion comes in. But the ordinance is the first page that says, we're bringing the bylaws for the commission to be approved. That's the ordinance.
Okay.
And we're approving the bylaws dated such and such a
you're
date.
right.
So the bylaws should
You're right.
stand alone, and that's the bylaws that he's showing us here.
Sandra?
Yes, ma'am.
What I would prefer, and I said this when he was here, sitting there, that this, with today's modern technology, if I'm gonna compare two documents, I use Word and I use Find. So if I'm gonna look for secretary, right, I just Control F, secretary, and I find where it is. So that way I can, or we all can, compare these two, especially now that it's a little bit concerning to me how clear this Article 4 is with very defined structure, and I don't know where this is here, and Ms. Bruni's saying that it's not here, especially like the nominating committee. I mean, I personally, I think a nominating committee is an important component, and for it to be missing, but it's too much of an assignment to do this without having it electronic.
Okay, what he's telling me, I just said they want to table it and they want their voices heard. So he just texted me, okay, I thought I had incorporated all the changes from the last meeting.
No, I specifically asked at when he was here, to have these electronic, and
He hasn't done
And
it.
before the meeting.
yeah, and before the meeting, right, I can't do it here, unless I bring my computer in.
I can see in Article 5 where he did go down and specifically talk about.
Well, yeah, but to
But he
look
did
at
take
it
away-
like that,
Sure.
there's too much, because the current bylaws are nice and short and specific.
It
And
actually
so I don't know what's
separates each
happening.
position with a little bit of a definition, like the chair and the chair-elect, the recorder, and over here, it just says, the commission shall consist of a chair, vice chair, a secretary, and a committee, that's it.
And this one's very.
And this one has it.
And
This is broken down.
But no, I think I would like to have these electronic, both of them, so that I could
But
compare
side
them
by
to.
side, Carol, is that what you're suggesting? Because I know originally we had asked him in.
No, I don't need it side by side, because I have two screens. I mean, or you could.
Because what I had asked originally, and he had done it, which was why eventually then I got very confused. I had asked, give me the original, and anytime you're going to eliminate, redline it, and if you're going to add it in bold red. And so I could tell immediately what was original, what was being excluded, and what was being added.
What was the point of getting new bylaws? What was the need? What was missing?
There were things regarding the Hall of Fame and how we were gonna select people specifically. I think that was the
The
main
scoring
reason.
of the selection of
So
that.
these bylaws could have just been amended that way instead of creating whole.
that was-
We had
the
amended them
beginning.
in 2011, but then they chose to revamp and look at everything again and be a little more detailed.
And then also because the selection of officers not being done in a timely manner because we didn't have quorum. I mean, it just delayed, it was a domino effect. It was election of officers, the time frame, and Hall of Fame.
Oh, so
And then
it's kinds of-
the selection of the Hall of Famers. So it was officers, this and that. So you know what? Let's revamp the whole thing.
Just a question that I have, because I had talked to Joe, to Mr. Valdez, that the reason of our bylaws, if we're not created by ordinance, then we have to follow the ordinances of the city. a lot of our committees that are created, were created by ordinances. And they have the authority, and that supersedes the cities. So if we can, I don't know if we can or not, if we have to get to legal and say, how can we go back and do an ordinance for us to be under the ordinance so that we can discuss our, like the days that we're absent and all that. Because other committees, they have the excuses and everything. We don't, because we have to go by the cities. But because we were not created by ordinance, I thought, well, maybe we can ask them if they can put us under an ordinance so that we can have more leverage here, and create a lot of other, like all of these things that are on the bylaws, that we have to go to what the city tells us. So I don't know, I wanted to see if maybe.
Well, I think the misinterpretation is that when you were created, it's in existence, so you're not, how can you create something that already exists? I think what they're creating is the bylaws, not the commission. The commission is already in existence.
Yeah, because it was made by motion, and then I don't understand a lot of it, but I know that this is what I was told. When it was created, Ms. Moreno made a motion to create this committee. If she would have said, I want to have an ordinance created, it would have been different, because we didn't have to abide by the city ordinance. We could create our own, and we could bypass, it supersedes current ordinances that supersede current, bylaws.
I think in order to do that, because we already exist and we were already created, as Ms. Ortiz mentioned.
By motion. So
You're
then
going
we
to
cannot
have
ask to be put
dissolve,
under an
you're
ordinance.
gonna have to dissolve the committee and do away with the committee and start it from scratch, if that's what you're wanting to do.
Well, only because we would have more leverage, and we wouldn't have to go through city ordinances that are a little stricter.
Can I,
Yes, ma'am.
may I make a motion to table this until we get clarification on all this?
It goes before council on Monday.
It goes on to council on Monday, next Monday. Is there any way that we can keep this from going to council, Ms. Ortiz? Can you ask the attorney if you have him there?
Just that they want to table it and they want their voices heard. Okay, I thought I had incorporated all the changes from the last meeting. Do you know if the new changes are significant? They are getting ready to table it.
I guess the main question would be, at
We
least
can
mine
table
would
it.
be, why did he begin you with a baseline that wasn't
Yeah.
the current approved bylaws? I didn't realize that he wasn't at the time, but I don't know that any of us were aware of that he used.
I thought he had taken these,
Well-
because I did see some of the language from this
Well,
and this.
the thing is that in some of those red line ones that I thought came from him after we asked him, they are the original. So that's why I'm confused. But that would be my question, Sulema. I would hope that the others would say the same. That's our main concern. If he started off his work using a set of bylaws that were not the official bylaws of this commission, well, then we definitely would want to have a little more time to.
Before we table this, I do want you all to see one more thing. If you go on the red line bylaws from April 8th, meeting recommendations to city council, which is the one that's being presented to city council.
From April 8th,
April 8th, yes.
are there two red lines, and one that is and one that isn't? Because I see one
It should
is.
be stapled.
It's this one. It's a bigger, thicker.
What does it say at the top, draft?
It says red line
bylaws.
Okay, go to the second page, the back of the second page, to item 3.04. And I'm bringing it up because this is one thing that you all spoke a lot about.
The back of the second
Sorry, say
page.
that
Oh,
again.
yes, we have some changes.
Second page in the
Yeah,
back.
3.04.
So it is going to be the same as the city of Laredo right now. That applies to all the committees. A commission member who is absent for 4 regular meetings in a calendar year automatically forfeits the member's position.
That's this one.
Yes, and so there's a green square that Ms. Ortiz kind of highlighted for
This
us.
one.
Where?
It's a one page.
It's on a separate paper. It says amendment of 2018-0-050. Okay, the big square in the back. That is the ordinance that we are following. An ordinance amending section 2-157 of the Laredo City Code to provide that committee members shall automatically forfeit their appointed position for failure to attend 4 regularly scheduled meetings only in 1 calendar year. To provide that a committee member who forfeits an appointed position for failure to attend 4 regularly scheduled meetings is not eligible for appointment to any committee until the expiration of the current term of the appointing member of the city council. Providing that this ordinance shall be cumulative, providing it, I'm sorry? Cumulative, providing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
So no excused
No
absence,
excused
nothing,
absence.
just for period.
Correct. And I know we talked about this in length, and you can see that they just marked everything we said off. So I'm pointing that out to you. So if you want to take these and go over them, I can come tomorrow and meet with the attorney and tell him what our issues are. If you all want to text me any other concerns that you see. And I'll let you know if this can be stopped from going to city council on Monday.
Can I just kind of?
Yes, ma'am.
My suggestion, or my concerns were initially the exclusion of the nominating committee, but now realizing that they didn't use the official approved bylaws and not having had a chance to scrutinize it line by line, I would be concerned about is anything else excluded? Because we haven't really had a chance to study it. But those are my concerns.
Sandra?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, under, in the current bylaws, number 9, they have something called finances, and it says that the commission shall request funds from the city for projects and special needs, but there is nothing of finances in the new draft one. There is a new section under number 9 that they call Biennial Women's Hall of Fame, and in that one, it's very detailed. It says we shall have a Hall of Fame, yada, yada, but for some reason, I don't know if I just don't see it, but it doesn't say that it's gonna be financed or that we're going to get funding, requesting of funding. If you can have him mention that as well.
Well, that's a perfect example of what I'm concerned about. What else was left out? What else is missing? I mean, we haven't had a
In the new
chance.
one, number 4 is quorum. In the current, it doesn't have quorum. They have,
It says a majority.
it just says, yeah.
Committee meetings?
They created number 4. In the current, it said, number 4 is commission officers. In the new one, the draft, it's called quorum. And in quorum, all it says is a majority of the members will constitute a quorum.
And in the original, it was 7 members would constitute a quorum.
Right, and that was wrong.
Is that?
So I have the motion?
The members is the motion? Or
No.
the members make this one
It's just one little
Okay.
line, so.
All those things have to be reviewed, is that what you're pointing out?
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
so,
I was kind of going, you know.
so I
pretty
can
good.
entertain a motion that we request that this not be brought to council on the
Table.
19th.
But then, can you add to that motion that we be given an opportunity to view proposed changes with both documents? I mean, having
Yeah.
based on the original bylaws. So that we know what, if anything else, has been deleted, added? Because I mean, just
Specifically
right
about the
here, the Loretta's already
finances,
picked up on two that I hadn't had a chance to look.
And that can be emailed to us, so we don't have to wait until, so we can all review them, no? Like Carol was saying.
Okay. So, going to review.
That could be locked, right? Come in draft money.
Yeah.
Under commission officers, and this one under.
Okay, so the motion that someone, who is making this motion?
Diane.
Okay, that Esther is motioning that the bylaws or the ordinance and about the bylaws and the bylaws not be presented on August 19th, at City Council, August 19th, 2019, and that the commission be given the opportunity to review proposed changes per original bylaws, and that it be received by all members through email.
To review.
To review.
I'll second that.
Do you want the current bylaws and the draft that is to?
I think that's the only thing that should be compared.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that should be compared. All these other discussions, I think they need to be out the door, and let's just do the first one and what we ended up with, and then just make sure, see what we want to add, change, or delete.
So, there's a motion on the floor, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
And just to make an observation,
Yes,
ladies.
ma'am.
Under the finance, it does actually say there, the commission may also seek other sources of
Yes,
revenue.
yes, that
It
does
says
say.
that?
It says that under finances on the original.
On the
bylaws.
But then they eliminated.
On the current.
Yeah, but no, but this is what we've been practicing forever.
Yeah.
And they said that we couldn't, and it's right there.
It is, that's why I was asking.
Okay, let me just make you aware of
In the
what
current.
he just told me. I said, they are getting ready to table it. Concerns are exclusions of nominating committee and the fact that the current bylaws were not used as a baseline. Response was, okay, I was unaware of those concerns since they did not bring that up at the last meeting.
We didn't have
I'm
the
not sure
changes.
how starting from current bylaws changes the end result.
Well, we can discuss it with him later, but we've already have a
Okay.
motion and we're
Okay,
moving
just-
forward.
Well, yeah, it will change the bottom line. It does change because there's things that we want back. It's good that, since it's the current balance, we were always told we can't get other revenues, we couldn't get other revenues. And I guess me, myself, I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was like, it's right there, we could have other revenues.
Come with your ideas and your budget concerns for the coming action plan. Come prepared to either nominate or support whoever is being nominated. Again, if you have any nominations or if you want to be nominated, please reach out to either Alice, Maribel Garcia, or Lupita Ramirez. And we'll see you in September. And we will also be reviewing, or we will be swearing in for
On the 9th.
the voter registration. And so you'll let us know through Sulema if we're gonna meet here or over there.
Right, I will let you know.
Make a motion, the meeting adjourned.
One discussion before that. For next agenda item, can we make sure to put something with the starting discussions with the officers are gonna be coming in with the Hall of Fame? Because that was the whole reason why it didn't happen this year, because we started so late.
Yeah.
Let's not delay, let's make sure that we could discuss the Hall of Fame from next meeting on.
Yeah, because I think one of our action plans here, we're talking about all business etiquette and all of this stuff, and we're.
There's nothing in
And
the
there's
Hall of
nothing
Fame.
in
that
there
has to be
on
discussed.
the publicity thing for the
Right, and this was some
media
preliminary.
event and all
Right,
that
right.
stuff.
But I think it's on there, it's in there, but like, I think it needs to be an item by itself to discuss the Hall of Fame, beginning discussions
You
on
want it
Hall
to
of
be
Fame.
discussed next, in September?
Yeah, like let's start discussing it, because
Yes.
the whole
Well,
reason we got delayed, because we
We
couldn't,
always
because
have,
we
Alice,
waited.
we've always had a Hall of Fame, okay? And when
Right.
we've had it, it's always been held.
Right,
We had never canceled any of Hall of Fame
Exactly.
until this year. So
Exactly.
what if we start in October, I mean, what's the problem there? You know,
No,
the
the
new
thing
people
is,
are in.
Now, before, we didn't have to present it to.
Exactly.
We didn't have to present it.
And when I
But
mean-
even in October,
So, yeah,
November,
so what-
I'll remind you-
January, February, March, we have
Yes.
6 months.
But,
Alice, go
no,
ahead.
what I'm trying to say, Sylvia, is discussion, the Hall of Fame is, let's start brainstorming. Let's see, hey, like, where do we wanna have it? Let's see, like, let's get ahead. Let's get ahead of ourselves and not wait, because I believe that we could have pulled off the Hall of Fame. I believe
all
that.
of what you're saying, but
But-
I'd rather finish.
Okay.
That's me.
Yeah.
We're going ahead, too much ahead. What if new members come in?
Yeah, they're
I mean,
all
they're not
gonna-
even involved in the discussion.
Well,
I'm just saying,
if I may, and I understand where Alice is coming from. You know, she's coming back. She's been out for a while. So yes, we do need to move forward. I think one of the big delays last year was elections. So now we're going to be doing them on time, and we'll move forward with that. Yes, keep in mind ideas of where you want to have it. We did have some great ideas this year. We do have a set budget now. We didn't before, and it's up to $10,000.
And what's the status of the ladies?
That is a
And-
big concern because
And
I
the
have
scoring
asked,
grid.
I have asked and asked and asked to put it on the agenda. And I thought we were gonna discuss it, today, but maybe we can discuss it at, September's meeting and put it to rest because a lot of these people
Ladies are
still wanna
waiting.
know what's
I think
going
the
on.
grid
So we're
needs to
thinking
be
of
put
another
on
Hall
there.
of Fame where we're not through discussing this one?
Correct.
And that's what I'm saying, let's not get too much ahead of ourselves. I think we could do it, you know, if we start in October, but we have to finish what we have. It's
Correct.
too much, you know, we got to take one day at a time, one item at a time, so we.
I just don't wanna be told again by council that
We're not.
we're not capable of doing it.
We are.
Because I swear, we get to a point and I'll make sure I'll resign.
Last year we did the elections kind of late. This time we're on target, everything is
Well,
on
no, all I'm
target.
asking is like, let's put it on the agenda
Excuse
so
me, but
there is
isn't
the
there
time to
more
discuss.
ahead?
That's
Whatever.
it.
Ladies, I know that I'm the parliamentarian, and the thing is that we've been discussing back and forth, and, you know, everybody's discussing at the same time, and that's why sometimes we're out of hand. So, I mean, Madam Chair, Ms. Taylor had named Alice to speak. You know, let her speak, and then we can contribute by one. Not everybody at the same time, because everybody gets all confused.
Raise your hand.
Well, I mean, we're educators,
Well, yes, exactly.
Raise your hand.
Raise your hand.
please, because, I mean, we go back to square one. You know, everybody's discussing, everybody's arguing and.
And I think we're all guilty of it, Diana, but I think some of us do try to contain it like that. I know I'm always, and we always have been, a lot of us, but I know that it starts getting heated up and we want to jump in. I know that, and I am guilty of it, I apologize for it, and I'm sure a lot of us have done the same thing.
Yeah,
So,
that's
I
the
mean, I
reason
know
I'm
that
saying.
Good point.
we're
Yeah.
reiterating what we already know, but you're right,
I mean,
absolutely.
the thing is that, I mean, we're all professionals, and we need to
Yes, we
respect each
are.
other's opinions. And, you know, she gave the floor to Alice, and then everybody starts, you know, and there we go. Well, I mean, that's the thing.
It's always been this, I've always brought it up también, nunca me hicieron caso.
Just, like I mentioned, it was a suggestion for an agenda item. It does not have to go on. It was just an opinion that I feel, because I did get very offended with council by being told what we were told. And I've been in this commission for a long time, and I got very offended. So now I'm trying to prevent being offended that we're not capable women to handle that Hall of Fame. So that's the reason why I said, you know what? Hey, 6 months. It's a lot of time to start planning.
It's an exception rather than the rule.
I'm not sure, I
Okay.
don't think council's intent, message was that we weren't capable. I
Well,
don't think that was the message.
that was-
Well, that's how I took it.
Pretty much what they said.
Because I felt that we did it, we were able to discuss it, we got to a point that it could have been done. We had the venue, we had the place, we had the meet, we had everything. It was just, you know.
They
it just
wanted
didn't-
to see a scoring
Yeah,
grid.
right.
Right,
They
and that's
wanted
what
to
exactly
see a
the
scoring
It
grid.
wasn't about, it wasn't like a
Yeah.
personal, it wasn't a
But the
personal.
words were said
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it was, if it was said differently, I don't think I would have gotten offended by it. But the words were said, not once, not twice, but 3 meetings in a row. that we were not able to do it. And to me, those words were very harsh.
Because
Now, I understand that the scoring, that could have been, let's just do the scoring. I think the scoring should have been done, you weren't capable, why you didn't delay, the words, I went back and I kept on listening to the meetings and I just felt offended.
And back to that, we had already made our selection.
So I just wanted to be
That's
prepared.
fine.
I just wanted, to start discussing it.
And it was a transition year, we knew it, because council had never had to approve our
Right, it's just different.
recipients.
That's all.
But we've gone through the worst of it, and we're almost at the tail end, so, yay. Okay. So, there's a motion to adjourn, second?
A second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much for
At
coming, we'll see you in
7:04.
September.